So today I wanted to take a quick look at this Milwaukee shears that are probably one of my top 10 favorite tools, and also is a brush tool. They don't make it in brushless, but it has plenty of power and doesn't drain much battery. And also today's video is sponsored by Cresco Pest Control. We have the solution to your pest problems. Yeah, they make this in this is the 14 gauge, and they also make this in an 18 gauge with a gray head on it. And they also make a single cut shear. And the difference between a single cut shear and a double cut is this has the blade in the middle going up and down and two on the sides. It cuts a strip out of the middle of the metal, and it takes, well, the width of the blade. So it takes a small strip out, and it also doesn't really damage either side. Like, it did bend a little bit, I was pretty rough with it, but the single cut, usually one side will be all bowed and warped and the other side will be a nice clean cut. So you don't cut that section of material out, you cut a straight line, but it bends up your metal, so it's obvious that you'd rather lose a small strip of metal than to have half of the material that you might be able to use on another piece, even if it's a small piece, have it all warped and bent up, you know. So I definitely always advise to go with this. I guess there's reasons for the single cut. I never use them for anything, but so they make this in the 18 gauge with the gray head, like I said. And that thing, I'm sure it would cut plenty, but why would you? And I actually got this one cheaper for some reason. The 14 gauge was quite a bit cheaper at the time when I bought it. It was a long time ago now, but at Ohio Power Tool. And it has, both of them have a pivoting head, and it locks in different places so you can cut on angles. Get this battery and the handle up out of the way. That's why this arch and stuff, that's to kind of keep you away from the sheet metal. But you can put it on this angle, or you can go straight sideways, which is pretty comfortable to cut that way. Or up and down is fine too. It's pretty comfortable pretty any direction that I've cut with it, but I do kind of like it off to the side. It's nice out of the way. And this thing really does cut. It will cut 14 gauge metal for sure. I've tested it out. I don't really use it for a lot of things, but I did check some out. And then for something like this, I like using this compact 3.0 high output, because you do get some power gains if you put it on a bigger battery, a 6 or an 8.0 high output, but it's how much are you looking to gain versus how much weight and bulk are you adding to the end of this thing. And not just that, but this thing doesn't need more power than it's getting from this. Otherwise I would definitely, I don't care about the heavier batteries, but you know, I mean, this isn't a tool I'm using all day either. Like, you're gonna make your cuts, I'll make a template, and once everything's cut out, it's cut out, and this gets put up until the next sheet or whatever. But this thing, it doesn't slow down at all with this compact. And with like the 5, or I know they make like 3.0 and 4.0s that are identical to this, just 3.0 and 4.0, so they have a different, the same cell, but a different version of it with more capacity. But yeah, like with the 5.0, it's just kind of that extra hanging off. I don't like it. And obviously this is even bigger, but if I was going to put a bigger one on, I would use this, but it's not a big enough difference. You can hear the difference in person. I don't know if you can on camera, but it's just not enough to need it, you know. I mean, even like I said, cutting the 14 gauge metal, it cuts through like a breeze with the 3.0 compact on it. So for certain tools, I really like these. I don't even use my 5.0s except for on my top-offs I would use them, or I throw them in lights usually, the XC batteries, because they're just outdated, old cells. I mean, they're a fine battery, they're good batteries, don't get me wrong, but if you got the choice of this, then I always just go for this. It is a more compact battery. Like the footprint is actually, you know, quite a bit longer on this because the cells are longer in it. But, you know, it's still a bulky enough battery that I would just always grab that. But if you can get away with these are really nice on some of the smaller tools. And kind of go with what you need for that. But with this, it's not a huge draw of power, this little jaw going up and down. And like I said, it is a brush tool, but it still doesn't draw down the batteries too much at all. And really clean cutting tool. It never fails, never binds up. I've had some corded ones, you know, they just keep getting stuck, or, you know, this thing, you can just keep breezing through. And even if you're not, a lot of them, if they're not real powerful, they have to be on a perfect angle. And as soon as you go a little bit lower or a little higher, they want to bind up. They don't want to cut unless you're perfect in line. This thing, it don't care what you're doing. It's just this jaw's going. It's going to keep going until you let off the trigger. It has a variable speed trigger, and you can ease on it pretty good control from the trigger. You know, just a single speed. And so it's like, it's one of those tools that I'm sure Milwaukee looks at it like it's not a common thing. I've never seen anyone have this blue-headed one or even the silver one in person. But I really wanted it. As soon as I seen it, I'm like, oh, shears, man, I hate the cord. Especially on sheet metal, when you're cutting this stuff, your cords are always catching. This thin edge of the metal is always wanting to grab your cord and stuff. So you're cutting and your cord's catching, it's binding up. So cutting the cord for the shears is an awesome thing. That's like right up there with the angle grinders. And so I was super pumped to get this thing. And of course I would still go buy the fuel one if they come out with one. I just don't think they have a need to, for as uncommon of a tool as it is. It has a trigger lock, the head can spin all the way around freely. It's anywhere you want to put it. You can cut upside down if you want. But it's a pretty awesome little tool, and like I said, that's right up there, one of my top 10 favorite power tools I own. And like I said, it's because that cord getting caught on the edge of your material is just, it kind of gets to be an aggravation. But I definitely recommend it. You can get really good deals. I bought this from Ohio Power Tool. Can't remember exactly what I got it for because it's been so long, but it really was a good price. And I keep it up in a box, and I bust it out to cut sheet metal. And this powder coating is super durable. It bang on it, don't chip or anything. So it's a pretty tough tool, but it's a pretty uncommon tool too. So I figured, why not make a video? When I was buying this, when I was doing the research, I couldn't find anyone who had the tool really, except for I found some Milwaukee videos. So I appreciate you guys watching, man.